With the J&K SIA reopening the 35-year-old case of nurse Sarala Bhatt's brutal killing, there is renewed hope among thousands of Kashmiri Pandit families that justice long denied will finally be delivered for the atrocities committed against them in the dark days of 1990. This is not just about one woman. This is about a community uprooted from its roots, driven from its land, and subjected to one of the most barbaric campaigns of ethnic cleansing in independent India. A campaign orchestrated by Pakistan's ISI, carried out by terror outfits like the JKLF and whitewashed for decades by a cabal of politicians, separatists and so-called liberals. For over 3 decades, the story of Sarala Bhatt remained a silent wound in India's conscience. She was a 27-year-old Kashmiri Pandit nurse serving at Sher-e Kashmir Institute of Medical Sciences in Srinagar. She was dedicated, fearless and rooted in her homeland. In April 1990, as Islamist militancy engulfed the valley, Pakistan-backed terrorists issued blood-curdling threats to Kashmiri Pandits: leave your homes, your land or die. Thousands fled in the dead of night, carrying only what they could hold, leaving behind centuries of heritage. But Sarala refused to run. She refused to bow before jihadi terror. She believed in her duty as a nurse. She believed she was safe in her own land. That belief cost her life. On the night of April 8, 1990, armed JKLF terrorists stormed into her hostel, abducted her, and by morning, her lifeless body lay in Umar Colony, Mallabag. She had been shot multiple times. Beside her was a handwritten note accusing her of being a police informer, a lie militants often used to justify targeted killings. The truth was chilling. She was killed because she was a Kashmiri Pandit who defied the terror diktat. Even in death, she was denied dignity. Locals sympathetic to militants warned her family against a public cremation. Her last rites were performed quietly under the shadow of fear, without the community able to unite in the mourning. An FIR number 56/1990 was registered at police station Najin, but investigating a militant-linked murder then was next to impossible. Witnesses were terrified. Police officers were themselves targets. Like hundreds of other Pandit killings, Sarala's case went cold. Justice was not delayed, it was buried. For the Kashmiri Pandit community, Sarala's story became a symbol of the state's early failure to protect them and its later unwillingness to hold killers accountable. Politicians moved on. The national media forgot. The so-called human rights lobby, which cries for terrorists, remained silent. For 3 decades, the only justice Sarala received was in the memory of her displaced people. People who still remember every name, every face, every life lost in those horrific months of 1990. But now, under the leadership of Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha, there is a new resolve in Jammu and Kashmir. The administration has ordered the reopening of unsolved targeted killing cases from the 1990s. Sarala Bhatt's case is now with the State Investigation Agency, J&K's premier counter-terror body. And this time, there is no political appeasement of separatists to block the truth. This week, the SIA carried out coordinated raids at 8 locations across Srinagar, recovering what officials described as incriminating evidence linked to her murder. Sources suggest these findings could expose every terrorist involved and the wider conspiracy behind her killing. And let's be clear, this is not about reopening old wounds. This is about closing them the right way, with justice. It is about telling every jihadi and every terror sympathizer, no matter how many decades pass, you will face the consequences of your crimes. It is also a message to the so-called liberal ecosystem that whitewashed these atrocities. Your selective outrage will no longer dictate the national narrative. For Kashmiri Pandits, justice for Sarala is more than a conviction. It is about official recognition of the genocide they suffered, a word many secular intellectuals still refuse to utter. It would be a moral victory over the forces that try to erase them from history. The reopening of this case is also a lesson to the nation. Terror thrives when justice is denied, but when the state has the will and the political courage, even cold cases can be solved. This is the new India, an India that does not forget its martyrs, an India that will hunt down those who spilled innocent blood no matter how many years have passed. If this investigation leads to arrests and convictions, it will be a victory not just for Sarala's family but for every Kashmiri Pandit who has waited decades for justice. It will prove beyond doubt that the days of looking away from Islamist terror in the name of vote bank politics are over. Sarala Bhatt's story is not just a page from history. It is a warning to the present and a promise to the future. A warning that this nation will never again allow the ethnic cleansing of its people, a promise that the blood of innocence will never be forgotten, never forgiven, and a resolve that the saffron spirit of Bharat will always rise to protect its dharmic sons and daughters. Justice for Sarala is justice for every displaced Kashmiri Pandit. Justice for Sarala is justice for Bharat.